Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday of week 6. Today, our I can statement is I can explain what a mineral is and how they have different properties like hardness and color. So, a mineral is a natural substance that comes from the earth. There are approximately 3,800 known minerals by scientists. So, because there's so many, scientists classify minerals based on their physical properties. So, what does classify mean? Classify means to arrange things into categories or groups. So, if you remember from a while ago, we talked about the different uh, categories for species and stuff like that, how humans are considered Homo sapiens. This is like if I had all my students in my third block were categorized in the yellow binder, or my first block was in the green binder. It's just putting things into groups based off of different categories. So that can be the way they look, something they have in common. Physical properties is when something that can be observed or measured without changing the matter itself. So it's just basically the way something it looks before you change it or without changing it at all. Yeah. So if I were to describe the physical properties of this crystal right here, I could say it's fairly clear, it looks like it's hard, it's shiny. Those are some physical properties of this crystal. So minerals can be classified based on their physical properties such as hardness and color. And we're going to talk about what exactly I mean by that right now. So hardness is what you think it is. It would be how hard a mineral is. So we measure how hard a mineral is based by Mohs hardness scales created by Frederick Mohs around the 19th century. So basically what this means is any mineral that is capable of scratching any other mineral is harder than that mineral that it scratched. So if I have mineral A and I use it and it scratches mineral B and leaves a permanent scratch on mineral B, then mineral A is harder than that because it was able to scratch it. So the Mohs hardness scale ranges from 1 being the softest to 10 being the hardest. So if we take a look at this picture right here, we see that we have like diamond is the hardest mineral. We know that this is a fairly well-known fact. Diamonds are the hardest, where our fingernail is about a 2.5, so it's fairly soft. And that makes sense because we know our fingernails break, they're not that strong. But when you think of a diamond, it's really, really hard. So that's a 10 on a scale, where a fingernail is a 2.5. Something to understand is that it's not linear, which means it doesn't just go straight up. It's kind of all relative. So just because something's a 6, that does not mean it's 3 times harder than something that's a 3, a 2. It just depends, and you use the scale to help you get an idea of how hard an object is. So how can you test a mineral's hardness? Everyday objects can be used to test a mineral's hardness. You can use a nail or a copper penny to determine a mineral's hardness. You can also use your fingernail, like I said before. So let's say you go outside and you want to test how hard it is. Use a penny to scratch it. You make sure that it left a scratch and not just a mark. Oftentimes, kind of like a chalkboard, right? I can use chalk and I can leave a mark on the chalkboard, but I didn't scratch it. I just left a mark there, right? You have to make sure that it leaves an actual scratch, and if it did, then that means that mineral is a 3.5 or softer, because we know that pennies or things made out of copper are around 3.5 on the Mohs hardness scale. These are just some other things you can use glass to test hardness. Obviously, make sure you do this with an adult if you're using something like glass. It's a great way to test something, but we want to make sure we're doing that safely. So then there's color. So color is what you think it is, the color of the mineral. Some minerals can be really easily identified based on their color. So for example, quartz is always like a clear, milky purple color. Azurite is bright blue, and sulfur is usually always yellow. So if we look at this picture, this shows us some examples of that. It shows us that sulfur, which is yellow, the azurite, which is blue, the purple with the ruby is red, stuff like that. That's all I have for today.